All right.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Welcome to At the Inn of the Death Egg. I am Matt. With me, as always, is a very blurry Mike for those of you watching us on the YouTubes and
Stupid
Facebooks,
camera.
and Sebastian, who's flying his colors this week. What's going on, boys?
Well,
How's
I
everybody
probably
been in this
shouldn't,
frigid climate we have?
It's minus 14 here in Langley.
Mm-hmm.
For those Americans, that's like, what is it, like 16, 17, 15 degrees Fahrenheit, something like
I
that.
think it's close to. I think it's single digits.
You know
Yours
what? I
single
actually
digit.
had this discussion the other day with a buddy of mine out in Philly. I do believe I have the answer to that hidden somewhere in my phone.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
It's 6. I just Googled it. It's 6.8 Fahrenheit.
Yes,
So
that's right.
7.
It's like 7 degrees.
Because
Yeah.
minus 18 Celsius is 0 Fahrenheit, I believe.
Yeah, I turned my floor heaters on in the bathroom, and my cat won't leave the bathroom. Well, one of them won't. The other one is right here, but
Yeah,
he's just vibing, sitting on the
That's hilarious.
rug that's heated. So, yeah.
Well, the least he could do is learn how to use the facilities if he's going to spend that much time in there. Save you a little bit of litter box duty.
Yeah, the wonderful thing about this time of the year when it inevitably has a cold spell in the Metro Vancouver area is that a lot of the drivers that don't have proper tires still try to drive in it. So my TikTok feed has been full of
Oh my!
crashes and accidents and people just sliding through the hill and not being able to stop, banging into everybody. So
Oh yeah.
And that's been a weird thing this year so far is we've been bitter cold.
yeah. Also, the
Working
temperature's
outside
been
has
cold
not
too.
been super pleasant, but we haven't had the snow. Like we got a little dusting on like Thursday. I went up to my office to get rid of my work clothes and grab my stuff and go. And I sat up there for 20 minutes and I walked out and there's snow on the ground. I'm like, I didn't see that coming. But
Yeah.
it only seems to be on the south side of the Fraser.
Not
Because
snowing in Langley,
apparently
actually.
Vancouver and Burnaby and New West got a decent little dump the other day. And
They did.
Surrey's not complaining about it. Langley's not complaining about it. But we have customers that weren't open. So our drivers were like, cool, waste a bunch of time here. People complaining about traffic issues all through those areas. And I'm like, it just seems to have stopped at the river. Like we have some sort of Lord of the Rings spell on it or something like
Right.
that. It's been lovely though. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a lot of people are staying home. Traffic was nice and light for 2 days.
The problem is when it's this cold, in my mind, because it only gets this cold for a week of the year, maybe.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Minus 14 is pretty cold. It usually doesn't go that low, but you kind of want to see the snowfall with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna be at minus 10, just give me the winter wonderland, right?
Absolutely.
So, but the fact that it hasn't snowed at all in Langley, really only like a small little sliver a couple days ago, it's just it's sad.
Come up to
I
my
want to
house.
see. I want to open the window and see a winter wonderland everywhere, but it's
Oh, there.
not. So,
Yeah.
and it won't be.
No.
That's okay though. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
my
come
yard
up.
looks pretty rad in the snowfall, but my roads suck. I mean, you guys have seen them. These things ice up and freeze up, and when there's snow out there, my roads become stupid, and people end up in ditches. So
Yep.
Yeah, so here's the issue with the Lower Mainland. It's like winter tires, just everything in life is getting expensive. So
Yep.
a lot of people can't afford to buy 2 sets of tires for their cars, right? So
Mhm.
I mean, I'm lucky because I have all seasons on mine. Mine's also a all-wheel drive, so I can pump the four-wheel drive, and it's pretty good in the snow. Like it's pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Um, but a lot of people just try to cheat and just go, it's only 1 week of snow. Why would I put winter tires on?
Right.
And then inevitably they hit black ice, they hit a snow patch, whatever, and they're sliding out of control into traffic, into
Yeah.
other cars.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
and yeah, I don't know. It's tough. Like, get your winter tires put on, I guess, right? Like, It's a safety thing.
It is.
Yeah,
It's either it's
So-
your life. It's you only get one. So tires or you're dead.
I guess
Or-
it's kind of different, Kamloops, because you
Have to.
you live in snow for months at
Yeah,
a time.
you
pretty
want
much,
Winter
right?
Wonderland? Come out visit me, man. It's
Well,
we had nothing until last week. Until
well,
I don't know,
technically, I'm not allowed
Monday?
on the Coca-Cola because I don't have my winter tires.
yeah, yeah, we're stuck. I mean, you know what? We're not allowed to go past Hope. Is
no,
basically
please
the thing.
don't. Highway's
I-
so cold. It's
Yeah.
stupid.
I remember back in the day when we used to go up to Vernon to sell glass with my dad in the winter. Sometimes, like for Christmas, we go like November, December, and
Yeah.
we took a couple of drives down the Coca-Cola, and it was not ideal.
Oh
Let me
shit!
tell you, it did not look fun to drive in that. I
And
was
you're like, oh, I'm gonna
15
die.
at the time.
And your dad's like, yeah, no, it's all good. Don't you worry.
Wow, my father's
It's probably
I
a good
mean-
drive. Well, you have to be.
back in the day, he was a good driver. He's
Yeah, well.
sorry, pops, but he's 70. What is 72 now, and
Yep.
he drives like a 72-year-old.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's
God,
gonna happen
he's
to all
the
of us.
worst person to drive with. Sorry, Dad. Again, nobody likes driving with him because he's just in the front seat, like, oh, there's a car coming. Oh my God, oh my God. I know. I can see the road.
That's
Yeah.
both my mother and my wife.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
like I have this under control. Thank you. My wife lent her car to a friend last night. So when we went out to some other friend's house, I got to drive and she did the rare appearance in my car. And yeah, it's like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to the place. They're like, you forgot where we are.
Do you?
You've completely forgotten where we are and where we're going, because normally she's got anxiety, so normally she drives. I mean, it is what it is, but she won't drive my car. Don't know why. And it's just one of those things. Last night I'm like, this is amazing.
So she
I-
wants to drive and won't let you drive when you guys go out, basically.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Do you
Sounds like-
guys drive differently with passengers than by yourself?
No.
I do.
Uh,
I definitely go faster when I'm by myself and like, well, I
I
don't
know. I did
Kinda
when my
ch-
kids were little. Like I drove very cautiously, and
like I'm more attentive
Mm-hmm.
when I'm driving with people. When I'm driving the driver and there's passengers, I'm much more attentive when I drive.
yeah, me too. I
And-
think I tend to not pay attention when I'm driving by myself, which is probably not a good thing. But
Just driving like this, scrolling through the podcast list as you're driving.
well, nothing like that.
Yeah.
Staring out the window, looking at the pretty mountains, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
I drive the same, and I'm quiet because I'm so used to driving by myself. It's just I don't. And people will drive with me, and unless they start a conversation, I'll just sit there quietly for like the entire trip. And it's just
Yeah.
I'm driving, I'm paying attention, I'm doing my thing. I got a podcast on, or I got a music on. It's like it's not like I won't talk. It's just I don't initiate. I just sort of pay attention to what I'm doing is a good word.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. My driving style freaks out my wife because she doesn't have her hands on the steering wheel, even though we've driven with other
Your
people
driving
when I'm
style
driving,
freaks
and
me out.
they've been sitting there telling her, no, he's fine. And when they disagree with that, it's because I've gotten irritated. So I just start playing just a little bit, just a little quick coming around the corner, little faster than they'd be comfortable with. But normally it's strictly, it's like, you know what? If you're gonna natter, I'm gonna give you a reason to natter.
Yep.
Right? It's
Yeah.
like,
Right.
you want something to cry about? I'll give you something to cry about.
Yeah. You tell him, tough guy.
Yeah, that's
You-
right.
yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I come home and I curl up on the couch and I sleep there.
My couch is my home. My couch is my home.
Right? It's a
Yeah.
good couch.
Well, it's a
Insert,
good couch. Yeah.
Insert
I
Full Metal
watched-
Jacket scene here.
I watched a throwback movie Wednesday night. I don't
Ooh.
know why I put it on. I just felt like putting it on.
What'd you watch?
Dazed and Confused.
Oh my
Mm.
god.
Freaking love
Wow.
that movie.
I haven't seen
It
that in
was
a
so
1,000
good.
years.
Dude, it's like when you actually look at the cast list like throughout,
Yeah.
Ben Affleck's in it, Matthew McConaughey's in it, Mila Jovovich is in it. What's her name? Oh, she's in that Joe, what's her name? Joey Laurie Adams.
Yes.
Oh,
Right?
Joy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she's in it as well. So Parker Posey's in it. It's
Nice.
just, it goes on.
Well, yeah, and then Cole
So-
Hauser's in it, and he,
Cole
you know,
Hauser's in it, yeah.
he was the villain in a Fast and Furious, but he has really hit it big as Rip on Yellowstone these days, and
Okay.
it's a very different looking character, clearly, because it's about 30 years in between. But I mean, it was a young, hot cast,
Yeah,
and a
it's
great soundtrack.
Adam
Mhm.
Goldberg's in it. It's funny how I go through the IMDb picture list after watching the movie and like looking at the characters, like what they look like today versus what they looked like. What was it, 97? I think it came out.
Yeah,
I was like
So, yeah.
93.
Matthew
Well,
McConaughey
and
still
then-
looks the same, but
and it's a
Joey-
famous story. It's like Matthew McConaughey, especially when he won his Oscar. It's always all right, all right, all right. Why? Because it's the first line he ever said on the first movie he ever made.
Yeah. Do you know what the history of that line is?
Probably not.
So I'm gonna totally butcher the story because I've heard him say it
Alright.
before. He was like on the day of shooting, it was his first scene ever, I think, and he was trying to like think about all the things that Wooderson appreciates in life, and it's like, okay, well, you know, I'm here with beer, all right. I'm here with my car, all right, and I'm here with some hot chicks, all right. And then that's how it just manifested that line, all right, all right,
Nice.
all right, because he like looked around and said, all right, all right, all right.
Yeah, and it's just him. It's him rolling up in the
Yeah.
car, arm out the window. All right, all right, all right.
So good. Anyways,
So
Let me ask you guys a question.
16
Okay.
times, but it was only since last
Uh,
Wednesday. That's the answer.
Okay. All right.
A
Okay. We're
ghost.
moving on. That was it. So at my daughter's school, in one of her classes, sometimes they show movies, and obviously she's a 12-year-old, so there's a line
Yeah.
of, especially nowadays, everything is so you got to get permission for absolutely everything.
Yep.
It's fair enough. So in this one class, her teacher said because of historical sort of relevance in this movie, you kids, you 12-year-olds are going to watch this movie. So she put on Prey, the Predator prequel.
What?
nice.
Oh,
Really?
That's yeah. So
Oh boy.
I see where your problem is. I'm just impressed the teacher had the
Oh,
balls
boy.
to do that.
well, sure, we can give her props for that, but I know in my house, my kids aren't exposed to, like, the Cooper will be 15 in a couple of weeks, and the craziest thing he's ever watched is Die Hard. Like, come on,
Dude, Prey is rated R.
it's rated R. So
Mhm.
just on the face, it's a Predator prequel. It's rated R, and these are 12-year-old kids. Jolene's never even watched Gremlins because it's too scary for her,
That's not okay, man.
right?
That's not okay.
Okay. And
I-
then in the same class, they were doing something, and then the teacher, which maybe she's having a bad day, she took what from Jolene's hand, what she was doing. They were doing some folding thing. It was like it's one of her language classes, folding some paper in a certain way. She ripped it up and said, "You're no good at this," in front of the class.
Oh god.
Wow. See, now
Like,
that's
what is
crossing the
this?
line.
It's like when we were in grade 7. This is like what we were in grade 7. This is the shit we were exposed to, stuff like that. Like, I got a problem
is
with the
this
movie
teacher?
because not every kid's different, right? They're kids that, you know, like when I was 12, we were the three of us, for instance, when we were 12, we were probably watching Rambo and fucking
Oh, yeah.
Predator and RoboCop, you name it, anything we got.
Well, I mean, we
our hands
talked
on.
about it before. It's like
Yeah.
we had access to our parents' video card accounts, and they, as long as you weren't in the back room, they did
Right.
not give
They
a
didn't give a
shit.
yeah, exactly. So, but I'm not raising my kids that way, and then a lot of other parents don't. It's not carte blanche. Like, we don't watch like The Walking
Right.
Dead with my kids. Like, it's just not a we can expose that they can be exposed to that crap later. It doesn't. I'm trying to keep. Well, we are trying to keep Jolene as childlike as we can for as long as we possibly can. But yeah, so there was a note written to the principal, and apparently about
Yeah.
half the other parents of the kids in the class did the same thing, and teacher kind of like didn't want anyone to get in trouble, but it's just use better judgment.
That's not
right?
okay, man. Like
No.
there's a rated R reason. How old is Jolene?
12.
12. Okay,
And
rated
again,
R
she's,
means
she's a
under
young,
7.
she's a young 12. Like, it's not like she's,
It
like,
doesn't matter. It's a rated R movie. You're
I
not
know.
technically. I mean, it's not NC-17, which is
No,
higher,
like
but
there's no nudity and stuff like that in it.
just
It is
gore, right?
it gets violent. The first like hour is not a first hour is really it's like the whole setup
What?
thing.
Why pray though? Why did she want?
Because it's of the indigenous
Yeah.
indigenous
Sure,
culture
but
involved
there's a
in
lot
it,
of other
and
indigenous
There's
movies
plenty of
that-
other things that
oh, I'm not saying there's not. I'm just saying I understand why she did it. It ballsy to pull that R-rated on a bunch of 12-year-olds without
asking.
consulting their parents.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
know, let's be honest. If we had walked into class and they said we're gonna watch a historical movie and showed us, Predator, I would be like, fuck yeah. But it is, like you said, it is a different day and age, and I mean, just for the fact that it's so easy to complain about everything, but you can't just spring that on parents like that. Like
No.
Well,
like
okay.
Jolene, it's borderline horror. The Predator is not
yeah.
a pretty looking thing.
No.
It is. There's some pretty gnarly death scenes in there, especially when dealing with the fur trappers.
Mhm.
I had a buddy that showed a Pirates of the Caribbean movie to his class, and that caused a policy change in the school district.
And that's a
Right.
PG-13 movie.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I think it was a I believe it was the class was young. I don't want to guess at the grade, but I believe it was younger than Jolene, and it's like it's Pirates of the Caribbean, it's fine. And then some parents just freaked out about. I don't remember which one it is.
Yeah.
But something about I think it was like the second or third one. It's something about the way the fights and the undersea monsters or whatnot.
Yeah.
And it's like, I caused a policy change in the school district, not just my class or my
Right.
school, the
Yeah.
district.
And
Yeah,
that's for
that's
PG-13
impressive.
movie. Did they
Yeah.
give you a heads up about that they
No.
were playing the movie?
No, Jolene came home and said, "Oh, we watched Prey."
And what was your
Not-
instant reaction to that?
Well, Sherry's like,
Excuse me?
she's never okay. So the wife hasn't seen it. I have. I loved it.
Mhm.
And all I said was, "I beg your pardon." And
Yeah.
Sherry's like, "That's rated R, right?" I'm like, so I opened up the old Disney Plus, and I'm like, "Yep, rated R." So that, yeah.
Here's my stand as what I would assume a lot of parents would share. If my daughter or son is going to see an R-rated movie, I would have to be there because I'm the parent or the adult guardian. I don't consider the teacher the guardian of that child.
No, it's
right. It's
if
a
I want to
teacher.
show her that stuff, that's on me because I'm the parent, not on some other Yahoo.
Yeah,
that's
and it
just
should be up to the parent whether
Yeah.
it's okay for the kid or not, right? Instead of so that's a I'd have some massive problems with that, honestly.
Yeah.
I would definitely talk to the principal because that's not okay.
Yeah,
That's not okay. Like
no, it's not cool, and I guess just so the teacher got a talking to from the principal, and just basically just use better judgment. It's a learning opportunity for the teacher, right? She's
There's
younger.
a policy change coming.
What
Yep.
was the teacher's reasoning for that? Because it's a historical piece.
Yeah, basically,
But
because it's this is an indigenous language class, so
yeah, because the Predator was out there in those days.
absolutely. Well, I think the only thing I can sort of reconcile is the main protagonist. She's a complete badass. And, and a lot of the movies that show indigenous they don't show them in the greatest light. So I think maybe that was her reasoning, which, but there's other things you can show where they're badasses. Like we're watching a TV show. It's not a kid show, but it's called Dark Winds. It's about indigenous police in the States on a reservation. And it's awesome.
Yeah.
And
that's on my list.
Why not? We're only a couple episodes in, but I'm like, well, why not something in the vein of that? Or I don't know, like show. Oh God, I don't know. I don't even know what her. That's the only thing I can think of is because the girl in Prey she's just a complete awesome badass and but it's not for a 12-year-old. Like we were watching Bluey last night. That's where we're at in life. We watched Bluey for fun because Jolene loves it. And so she's a young 12, right? And we want to kind of keep keep the ball rolling in that direction, not say let's just start watching everything and blah blah blah, and carte blanche. So I don't know.
Yeah, I would have some definite reservations about that teacher if she's making that decision. That's
and
not
it's,
the,
yeah, and
that's
the
not the
same one
right.
ripped up the thing in front of the class and said she's no good, and that's just not cool either. But
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's a whole
She's having a
different
day.
level
yeah,
of
she
bad.
and if that, so we're kind
That's
of with that one, with that side of it, we kind of, if it happens again and she gets like embarrassed like that in front of the class, then there will be a message sent from us to the teacher asking like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah,
you're gonna
that's
give my kid a complex, man.
Yeah, that's your
It's not-
kids are at that age are
So she
being
screwed up
imprinted
holding a
with
piece of
social
paper.
things, right?
Oh well, it's okay. It's called practice. That's what we do. You practice things over and over, and then you get good at them. Not the first try. But like Joe went to the bathroom or something, came back and folded and did it and screwed it up.
You want me to go kick her ass? I'll drive up there.
You're not allowed
I
on the
won't.
Coca-Cola
I
stuff.
won't. Oh, I'm
But-
sorry about that, Mike. That sucks.
Yeah,
That's
it
not.
sucks.
That's
It
not
sucks
okay.
for her, right? Because I don't know. She's a
Yeah.
bright young kid. No, you know her. She's. I don't know. I don't want the spirit to get ruined. That's kind of.
Yeah.
Because she's
no,
not a.
she should have a few more years before life crushes that part of her
Right.
personality.
Yeah, a
Right?
little
Like
bit.
you don't need to be fucking around. Like
No.
I was not the most attentive student. I may have pissed a teacher off here or there, but there's a line.
I can confirm that
And
is in fact
it
true.
was the 80s, and
Yep.
you get the note sent home from the teacher, or you come home with that story about a teacher, and 9 times out of 10 parents are like, well, what were you fucking around and doing to cause that?
Yep. Yeah. What
But
did you do this
even
time?
then, with something like that, it's like, okay, that's some horse shit. We're gonna
Yeah.
like, I remember my 5th grade teacher, the first teacher I had when we had moved back down here from Kamloops. It was a mid-year thing, so it was like, okay, wherever there's a desk, my fucking mom hated this teacher. She was just such an absolute cow. And I remember she got a comment on my report card at the end of the year, and my mom damn near got out of the car and stormed into the school. She was so mad.
Oh, geez.
It's like, I don't even remember what it was about, but she just looked at us like, that fucking bitch. I fucking told her that wasn't the fuck. I'm like, whoa. Oh, shit's going. And mom was like, she was ready to get out the car and go in the fucking building and find her.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the comment was. I don't know it was over. I just know that it's like, you know what? No, we've talked about this. And yeah, she was mad. It was kind of fun to see because it's kind of like that kid skipping along. It's like, somebody's going to get their ass kicked.
No, okay, I have a question for you guys then.
Sure.
What is a teacher that you've had and that has left like a lasting imprint on you for the positive? I got one. It was my grade 6 teacher from Richmond before I moved to North Delta. His name was Mr. McDonald, I believe. And at the time, I hated the scenario of his class. But as I grew older and became an adult, I understood the importance of what he was doing. We had to do every month, we had to do a speech in front of the class.
Oh, okay.
So we had to, every month there was a different topic. One was like endangered animals, one was your favorite hobby, one was sports or whatever. And we had to prepare a 5-minute speech. A lot of the times we had to use we needed to create a poster with it as well, whatever we wanted. And public speaking is a very difficult thing, but it's never really taught properly in school, right?
No.
So he took it upon himself to teach these kids how to be comfortable speaking in front of people, right? So at the time it sucked and I hated doing it and I was so nervous every month when it was coming up to that time, but it grows the comfort level of being able to speak in front of people. You know what I mean? I'm still nervous to this day when I have to like get on the mic in the pub when it's busy and stuff like that, right? But it served like that thing that I was taught in grade 6 has served me throughout my entire life, And it's not something about social studies or a math equation. It's a visceral thing that will serve you for the rest of your life.
It's a real
Like,
life
It's
skill.
a real life skill, right?
Yeah.
So So I've always appreciated that with him.
That's cool.
At the time, I hated it, but now I understand how important that really was. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's an old Seinfeld joke, and I heard somebody quote it the other day, some comedian. It's the number 2 fear in America is death. The number 1 is public speaking, which means at a funeral, most people would rather be in the casket than giving the eulogy.
It's not easy.
It's
That's
not.
a tough
And
scenario too.
I remember doing speeches in elementary school, or you have to get up and do it in high school, and I fucking hated it. Fucking hated it.
Yeah.
Fast forward 15 years, I was handed a microphone and said, "We're going to pay you to do this." And I went, "Okay, cool." And I realized I'm not one of those people that would rather be dead. I have no problem speaking in front of a crowd.
Yeah.
I've done it at weddings. I've done it for money through emceeing and hosting and doing karaoke. I have done it for fun, just getting up there and, just singing, but just giving a speech somewhere. It's like, you don't have a problem talking to people. Can you go? Yeah, okay, cool. So it's, I mean, in a twist of irony, I dreaded those things, and then it just, I don't know, I just something switched. Maybe it was just I'm being paid for this, so I don't really give a rat's ass. And
Yeah,
it was like, oh,
I'm
there's a flow
always
here. There was a point where the fear or the anxiety just went, yeah, I like money more.
Yeah, I always have a fear of doing it, like when we have to do like football parties or whatnot or events at the pub. But as soon as I start speaking, within like 2 or 3 lines of speaking, like the comfort just eases in because I have done it so many times before that the confidence of experience is just there, right? So it's like, yeah, I'm nervous before I do it every time we do it because there's 300 people looking at me, but it's just the experience factor again is just makes it easy. Makes it comfortable. So
I took I took a gig just hosting those for a pub out in Langley. Just hosting the playoff games for the Canucks one year. It was the year after their second Stanley Cup run. They lost in the first round, so it was quite short, but it was every night's a party. So we want somebody to come in that's comfortable on the mic. We know about you from this waitress who used to work at this pub that you saw your karaoke, yada, yada, yada. It's like, would you want to come in and do this? Just, you get a live mic, you get stuff to give away. You got so many free drinks you can pass out to a table. Just wander around and talk to the people in the pub and give shit away. I'm like, cool. I think it lasted 4 games because that was the year the Kings just beat them mercilessly.
5 games, we won 1.
Yes. So yeah, that was it. But it was like there was a magnet in the goalie's chest, and it's just they couldn't get a puck past him. It was but yeah, there's something about that switch flipping. I mean, as far as your teacher comment goes, I can remember a bunch of cool teachers. Mr. Finn in Kamloops was a South African gentleman that escaped apartheid, and he was fucking fascinating. Yeah, he just had some pretty cool stories, but I didn't really have a teacher that really went, oh, you know what, this kid's got something. So maybe it was because I had other issues going on. I just was sat in the back of the class and did the bare minimum. So
yeah,
it's probably on me.
Probably.
So
all right, boys.
Playoffs.
So
I got breaking news.
You have breaking news.
Break the news, Mike.
Break the news. Of course, it's football related. The Buffalo-Pittsburgh game tomorrow afternoon has been rescheduled till Monday because
that makes sense.
Because the storm that's coming into Buffalo, 3 feet of snow and 65-mile-an-hour winds.
Are they playing the same time as the Eagles and Bucks, or are they?
No, they're playing in the afternoon. They're playing early.
Nice.
Okay, rescheduled so 4:30 Eastern, 1:30. So 1:30 our time. So yeah, it's
Okay.
going to be wintry, and more
Pretty
winter.
Now-
much.
there's been talk of moving the Chiefs Dolphins game as well.
'Cause of
I
the
think
cold.
it's still on.
It's still
because
on.
of the cold. Yeah, because it's supposed to be like negative 40 American down there. And
Okay,
the
it's not
poor
that cold.
Miami team, like sweet Jesus, man.
Well,
Yeah,
I
there's
can
no
give you- I
shot they
can-
win that game.
Well, I could give you some stats. The Dolphins are in their last 10 games when it's below 40 degrees Fahrenheit, which is like 6 Celsius. They're 0-10 when it's just not even cold. So
yeah.
They're-
So like
they're fucked.
let's slap a negative in front of that and
Do you
see
know
how it
about
rolls, son.
the Miami cheat code in their home arena?
they have a cheat code.
Well, it's not a cheat code really, but the way they have designed their arena, the away bench is in the sun the entire time for any game.
Oh my
And if
God.
you know how hot it is in Miami, you can get like
Yes, I
100
do.
degrees Fahrenheit.
Sure.
So teams like I know the Patriots bring in like an air conditioned bench structure to Miami games so that they can like
Cool down.
kind of cloak them because they don't have any shade. They just
No.
they're out. They have to bring their own stuff to put them in the shade. They just put them out. Okay, that's the away side, and then the home side is in the shade the entire game.
Yeah.
So it's like a 30-degree difference Fahrenheit between the home and away side.
Yeah.
So and
That's
you're
crazy.
fully padded too, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, and you can't really say that, and it's a working cheat code because Miami has not been a great football team for
No,
quite a
pretty-
while.
It's
But
been
I
a
mean,
while.
that's funny. I appreciate that little. You can almost see Dr. Evil leaning over the plans for the structure,
Right.
going,
Well, it's
"Yes."
like that in a lot of outdoor sports. It's like
Yeah.
the arenas are built strategically to favor the home side based on where the sun is, right? So,
Mhm.
especially
I
in
think
football
it's
when there's a
great.
lot of
I-
standing around. So,
I'm here for it.
So, I
yeah,
know
so the
you don't know a
weather-
lot about football, Matt. This isn't
Yeah.
really your forte.
I've
I'm
been
just curious-
studying this week.
Good. You've been studying. So why don't we start with the game that's coming up in like 11 minutes? Because we might as well talk about that first because it's going to be
no,
happening.
it's not in 11
Isn't it on at 10? It's on at 10, isn't it?
No.
No? I thought it was on at 10.
It's on
Okay,
at
so
1:30, I
I'm
believe.
looking at it. I got the Browns and the Texans at 1:30.
Oh,
you
good.
were-
Okay. Good.
you
I'm
were-
not going to miss it then. Thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah, but you guys-
And the Dolphins and the Chiefs at 5.
Okay. Good.
And then you got that 10 a.m. game, a 1:30 game, and a 5 tomorrow, followed by Monday Night Football.
Well, the
Well,
1:30 game has been
the
moved. That's
1:30
Pittsburgh.
game's moved,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
moved. That was
No, that's
Pittsburgh.
the Pittsburgh's the 10 o'clock game.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So you were
Okay.
just saying that did get moved,
Yeah.
and good for them.
Good for
Um,
them. But what do you know about the Cleveland Browns and the Houston Texans besides nothing?
oh,
One of them has an orange helmet,
Uh-huh.
and the other one
Doesn't?
no longer plays in the Astrodome.
They never played in the Astrodome, I don't think.
I know because
Yeah.
I was actually there when they were building it. One of the last events in the Astrodome I was at, and we saw the stadium next door going in. So,
Yeah.
and
So
I don't think they had fully announced that. I think they were announced for coming back, but it would have been April, so they were trying to get the stadium done
Okay.
for
Yeah.
September.
because the Oilers at that point had left and went to
Yes.
Tennessee. Yeah.
Matt, who's your
Um,
starting quarterback for the Browns?
Oh, it's go
Mr. Hankey.
Yeah.
Close.
Well, he was probably watching South Park when his phone rang up like a month ago. But so Joe Flacco
Yeah.
won the Super Bowl in 13, 14, 15, some shit like that.
I can't with him.
And he's been out of the league basically for a couple of years now. It's because he's old and Cleveland, well, every team goes through lots of players, right? Injuries are a big thing. Like the jersey
Mhm.
behind me, Mr. Number 9, he was hurt all year and then his arm just blew up and then that was that. And that was my season for my team. But the Browns ended up they're on number 4 at the quarterback position. They
Haven't the
started,
Browns in like the last 20 years have the record for the most quarterbacks that they've gone through?
I
of
think
any
so.
team
There's
in
a-
the NFL. It's
yeah,
like every
since
year
they-
there's a new starting quarterback.
since they came back, there's a new one. And honestly, that controversy is going to start again after this year because do you bring Deshaun Watson back, which everybody hates him because he is a piece of shit and
How old is Joe Flacco?
38 or 39.
do you-
He's old.
Do you see him re-signing with the Browns? Does he Does he call it quits after this year, depending on how it goes?
Well,
or...
okay, let's just say Cleveland wins the Super Bowl. Why would he come back? He's
Oh,
cemented.
for
He's
sure he's
cemented
not
his
coming back.
legacy, man. He came back and he's the savior. He does not need to play a game again. But if they get close, like say they lose conference championship game or Super Bowl, they lose. I think Flacco would. I think they'd be stupid not to sign him for next year.
Yeah,
My opinion, because Deshaun, nobody likes Deshaun, and it's he doesn't play when he doesn't feel like playing, and like he hurt his shoulder, but other guys are playing with way more serious shit that whatever, I don't know. But 4 quarterbacks, you still go 11 and they went 11-6. Yeah, 11 and 6. And they've beaten some really good teams. Their defense is insane. Miles Garrett, I don't know many other players
listed as well, but
yeah. And I don't see Houston. Houston's really banged up, and they were 3-13-1 last year, and now they're, I think they have the same record, 11-6 or 9-7 or 10-7. You know, they got, you know, the second coming of a great quarterback in CJ Stroud, which that dude is awesome. But I think they're the happy to be there team, even though they are at home.
The Texans are 10-7.
Yeah, so they're the happy to be their team. They barely made it, and they should have lost to Indy last week.
10-7 still a decent record, though.
It's a great record for having nothing last year, going from 3 wins to 10. That's amazing.
But remember last year when we talked about the AFC South division as any one of those 4 teams could win the division. So the records in the AFC South where Houston was 10-7, has Jacksonville at 9-8, Indianapolis at 9-8, and well, Tennessee's the outlier, it was 6-11, right? But any one of those 3 teams up until like 2 weeks ago could have won the division, right? So
yeah. I think it was like week 12 or something. Jacksonville had like a 9, like they're going on percentages of winning the division. All the analytics, they had like a 96% chance to win the division.
Jacksonville was good,
and then they were good.
They faltered.
They just fell apart, and they blew it.
That's honestly
that's a team
apart, but
I could see. I don't think Belichick would go there. I could see them firing Doug Peterson and bringing in a real big name coach because the owner's got some deep ass pockets, and
why don't you tell everybody the Belichick news?
But that he's out.
Bill Belichick is no longer the coach
I guess it was.
of the
I
Patriots.
think it was yesterday or Thursday. It was announced he was done. Mutually, they agreed to part ways. They already announced their new coach, so clearly, I think he had the successor named probably at the beginning of the year last year.
That's a Bill Belichick move, though. He probably said, "This is the guy that's going to replace me." So
because the new coach Gerard Mayo, former, I think he was a linebacker for the Patriots, you know, just a great player. He interviewed for the Indy job and said no. So clearly,
he wanted to be with.
He wanted to stay, and I think he knew he was going to get the gig, even though another Patriot legend got fired from Tennessee a few days ago too. And then I kind of thought Mike Vrabel was going to go to New England, but Vrabel, I don't know. Vrabel's a great coach. He's going to go somewhere and turn something around. But anyways, back to Cleveland and this game. You know, Cleveland lose obviously 4 quarterbacks. They lose Nick Chubb in the first hour of the season, which is their, you know,
he's like a top 5 quarterback or top 5 running back.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. They lose him in the first quarter of the first game, and they somehow
Aaron Rodgers it.
Fuck Aaron Rodgers. Well, I don't even think Aaron Rodgers really tore his Achilles. I think he might have strained it, and then he's just a big baby. And because if you're up on whatever, I don't like Aaron Rodgers. He's crazy. So whatever. But to come back from all that adversity and still, you know, even be competitive, losing all your top guys. They lost to Deshaun early, and they were, you know, throwing plumbers in at quarterback and still winning games. I know Houston's a home dog, so I think I just don't see Houston winning this game. That's my opinion.
No chance.
I
can't either.
The only thing is if Cleveland shits the bed, because sometimes Cleveland's defense doesn't show up when they're on the road. But it's the playoffs, man. I don't think they're not going to show up. It's not like week 10 where it's like, I'm tired and I just not going to give 100% today. And we'll just lose this game and we'll be okay next week. But
so Chubb's not going to be back till next season, right? Because he just had a second surgery in November.
Yeah. Well, then because his leg went like 10 yards to the right and then his body went 20 yards to the left.
It was not. If anyone's seen the
It was
injury,
gross,
it's
man.
like one
Like,
of
it
those,
was
like, oh my god.
like his leg was like straight up, and then his body was like this.
Yeah, it was
And it
not.
was
It's
like, oh my god, it just that poor knee.
not a good. Oh.
Matt, what are
Football's
your
loaded.
with all your research you did this week? What are your thoughts on the orange helmet guys and the non-orange helmet guys?
Okay, so I listened to a bunch of podcasts. I took up some reading. I've been specific teams. There's some, especially with the coach turnovers
Mhm.
and the a lot of quarterback drama going on here.
Mhm.
So what I've sort of come up with is that by Tuesday morning, at least half the teams will be out of this round.
That
That is the
real
wisest.
that's
That's
a hot
really,
take if I've ever heard one.
yeah, you're right.
Absolutely.
You're bang on there, Ben.
I've
You're
been
bang
waiting
on.
a week for that joke. I'm really proud of myself.
To be honest,
No, honestly, I've done absolutely no. I literally set that joke up a week ago in the group chat.
like I'm nailing this joke.
That's amazing.
To be
Yeah.
honest, this is the matchup I'm least excited about.
So now,
Browns and
when
Texans.
is the Super Bowl exactly? Is that the 4th of February?
No,
The
it's like the
9th,
11th or some shit.
11th.
They
The
moved it
11th or
another
12th.
game.
So
It's on
for
Sunday.
the second time in the last, I think, 5 years, I am headed to a city that is prepping for the Super Bowl. I was in Miami days about a week before the Super Bowl one year, and then I'm headed to Vegas.
Nice.
Yeah, it's in Nevada. That's right.
Why
Yeah.
don't you go to the,
So it's watching the Super Bowl prep on Miami Beach was interesting because they had lots of little stages set up, lots of LED boards going in. That city throws a party, let me tell you. But I'm kind of curious to see what sort of setup might be, taking place around Vegas because it's a big deal.
It's a huge deal, man.
It's a huge deal in North America. The rest of the world could give a wet rat fart about it. But I mean, North America is spending a lot of money on it. They're making a big deal out of it every year. So these cities that, get the Super Bowl, it's a lot of income coming in. A lot of, I guess it's not really extra people because it'd be, a sellout regardless. In the football stadium, it's not like a wrestling event where you can just flood everything except a couple hundred square feet. But it's a lot of travel coming in. People spend a lot of money for these seats. It's a lot of touristy stuff. Vegas, better than any city I can think of, absolutely prepared for the tourism influx because it's what they do. And that's including, like, I think Miami is right there as well. As far as tourism is what we got, so we're going to be prepared for this party. But Vegas even more so. Like, Vegas is a whole other level.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It's got a reputation. It's like there's that one kid that's got a reputation for throwing the parties a lot, and then there's that one kid that's got the reputation for throwing the massive parties a lot.
Yeah,
And
yeah, absolutely.
Miami and New Orleans, they know how to throw down. New York is not shy about it either, but Vegas, come on.
Yeah,
Come
it's the ultimate place
Come
for the
on,
Super Bowl.
Cletus.
So clearly, you obviously don't know much about Cleveland Browns.
No, I don't. I absolutely don't.
I don't blame you. I don't
Looking at
blame
these
you,
teams,
Matt.
I
It's
got
the Browns.
I get a lot of peripheral because sports radio is on certain guys' workstations at work, so I do pick up here or there. And then I got lots of friends into the football. I know my buddy Alex out there in Philly is back in the Birds as always.
Well, I'm sorry that he's back in the Birds because they stink. But anyways,
Well, you know what?
I hope he's listening too because they suck.
And then I got a bunch of guys at work that are just absolutely nuts for the Seahawks, to the point where one may have been offered some overtime and turned it down because it's the playoffs.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, man.
Bitching about a bill that was a little higher than he expected, and he needs extra cash.
Yeah,
but okay, cool, whatever. Good on you, bud. So honestly, it's been a few years since I've even watched a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think the last time Seattle was in one was the last time I actually sat and watched it.
Yep.
I wait for the commercials afterwards and see what's going on. Just it's not my thing.
No.
It's a huge thing. It's just I'll show up to the party to day drink and eat your hors d'oeuvres
Yeah. Hey,
But
what you know what? Like in my
I'm
house,
Taco. If for
Chili
anybody
hot
that's seen
dogs.
the league, I'm definitely Taco.
for I know here I don't really usually I don't care about the Super Bowl because my team is rarely, 3 times in my lifetime they've been there, and so
Mhm.
That's why you got to be a Patriots fan, man.
But,
okay,
I
you
mean,
tell me
not
the
any-
next
not
time
anymore.
okay, you're gonna be like 92 the next time they get there, but that's okay.
So here's the
Eh.
thing about that. So 3 times in your lifetime, your team has been there.
Yes.
There are people that are older than you whose team has never been there.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not
right?
complaining.
And
Like
that's a tough deal. We're around these parts, we're notorious for being so mad at second place, we burn the city down.
Yep. Yeah,
But
that happens. Yeah.
still second place in the league. Like, I mean, let's go back to the day. What did the Bills lose? 4 in a row?
Yes, they did.
But
Oh,
they
that
never
was-
played the same team twice.
And God, I hope they lose on Monday. It'd be amazing.
And
There's a
and
chance.
still second
There's a good
place 4
chance.
years in a row against different opponents. That's not a bad day at work, guys.
Nope.
It's really
well,
not.
hang on. So there's 4 teams in the NFL that have never appeared in a Super Bowl.
Okay.
Detroit.
3 of them are in the playoffs.
Yep. Well,
Oh,
Detroit's
Matt's
won.
not going to know who
No,
who they
Detroit.
No,
Cleveland.
I'm gonna say
Who else is in? Trying to think who else in the playoffs.
Are.
Detroit.
Well, I'll tell you, Jacksonville is one of the only team that isn't in the
Yeah.
playoffs that hasn't
Yeah.
made it. So that's
So
one.
Detroit's won.
Yeah.
Who else did I just say? Who did I say? Oh, Cleveland is 2.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jacksonville's 3.
And I was trying to see who else in the ball. Who's the 4th?
Baltimore.
No, they won.
No, they
They've
won.
won one.
Joe
Oh, that's
Flacco.
right, they did. That I got them confused with their year
That
in the
was
CFL.
that was the game that had a power outage.
That
and
was
there was
the
like
game,
a
yeah.
45-minute wait
Yep,
as they
that
tried to
was
get
in
the
New
power
Orleans.
back on
Yeah,
the stadium.
Is it the
Yeah.
Titans?
No, they've been
it's-
there.
No,
It's-
Titans are out. Sorry, I'm looking at old stats.
It was the.
It's Houston.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
yeah, that makes sense.
So the
Yeah.
first game
Yeah.
is the one of the 2 teams is going to advance, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But
Well, clearly.
yeah, so that's interesting. 3 teams that have never made the Super Bowl are in the playoffs here, the wild
well,
card
let's
round. So
honestly, I hope one of the 3.
Like I'm kind of,
Yeah.
in the back of my mind, I Cleveland is in my team's division, and I don't like cheering. 3 of the 4 teams from my division are in the playoffs, which is
That's
bananas.
crazy,
And
hey?
if the Bengals would have won one more game, if they would have beat Kansas City in week, I think 17 or 16 or whatever that was, they'd be in too. So it would have been all 4 from one division, which is pretty rare. I don't know how many times it's happened, but it's pretty rare.
yeah, it's crazy how 3 teams in one division make it.
Like the Steelers.
I wonder if
Like,
there's
okay,
ever
I'm
a
gonna go on the record.
scenario. I
What?
wonder if there's ever a scenario if all 4 teams could have made it.
Oh, sure, there has. You
I
can
mean,
obviously-
Miami, yeah. I guess there's just too many games to win,
yeah.
maybe. But
But I'm going to go on record saying the Browns are going to win.
yeah,
Today.
I agree.
I don't, as much as I like CJ Stroud and watching CJ Stroud, he's the future. Like he is, man, talk about Carolina whiffing on a number 1 pick and they pick Bryce Young over CJ Stroud, but you roll the dice, you just don't know, right?
Mhm.
So I think Cleveland wins. I don't think it's an easy game. I think that it's going to be fairly tight. I think Cleveland's going to win. It'll be something like 26-21, 26-23. They're going to, it's going to be a good game to watch. What about you, Seb? What do you think?
I think Cleveland for sure. I don't think Houston is a good enough team to beat Cleveland. It's just
It's
don't
too
know.
much. I think-
I can't see them winning. Honestly, sorry, I'm just looking something up here. Yeah, the next game though was the one that's interesting to me because
And that's the
it co-
Kansas City Miami game, right?
Yeah, it came down to Miami having to beat Buffalo because they would have played in Miami then. Because
Okay.
Miami would have been the 2nd seed if they won in the last week. So the difference of them losing to the Bills is 40 to 50 degrees of weather,
Yep.
right? So it's like they're playing in Kansas City. What is the temperature right now in Kansas City? Jesus
It's
Christ.
cold.
It's
It's cold.
Yeah. Yeah, it's supposed to be like -40 or something
Yeah.
today. Like,
which I find kind of amusing is Kansas City is not that good. Like they aren't. They're old. Like Kelsey's old. Mahomes has no one to throw the ball to. They aren't the same team they've been. And somehow Miami shits the bed last week, loses the division, and where Miami could add a home game, and then Pittsburgh would
That's
have been
such
going
a big difference.
right.
Like
Like it's
that is
huge.
that matchup is the biggest difference in home advantage
Ah,
of any
it's-
playoff team.
Because
Right?
like we
And-
said before, like Miami doesn't win when it's cold. They don't. It's just into
yeah,
everybody on Miami's hurt like every other team, but Tyreek Hill's hurt, Jalen Waddle's hurt. You know, Tua isn't himself. They've lost all their defense. They have nothing. Like they've got nothing.
yeah. They've lost 3 of their last 5 games. One was
Yeah.
that absolute romp
Oh,
by
that
the
drubbing by
the
Baltimore?
Ravens. Yeah,
Yeah.
by
Oof.
Baltimore.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I can't. If you put the Chiefs up against the Bills, the Steelers, the Cowboys, the Lions, the Rams, and pretty much everybody else, I don't see them going through. But because they're playing Miami
Mhm.
in Kansas,
Yep.
I can't see the Chiefs losing.
No,
I cannot
especially-
see Miami winning this game. It's just
No.
it's so out of their norm of what they normally play football with, right?
No.
So
And
but-
even last week in the Buffalo Miami game, Miami was a close game. Like at halftime, I think it was tied or it was
Yeah.
relatively close. Miami was running the ball down their throat. And then the second half, they decide, well, let's just run the ball 3 times and see what happens. Well, they had 17 offensive plays.
bold strategy caught. How
Right.
did it work out?
So this is, hey, we're going to take what's working and we're just going to throw it out the window. And then we're going to go, we're just going to throw the ball. We're good. And then,
Yeah.
no, it's like, come on. And Buffalo wanted to lose that game. You know, Allen turned the ball over 3 times and they needed a punt return for a touchdown to win.
mhm.
Like Buffalo is just dying to give this shit away. And then Miami's like, oh yeah, I see you. I'm going to double down and we're going to do something even dumber. And it's just,
Yeah, that wasn't a pretty game.
oh no, it was
That
ugly.
was
It was ugly.
Yeah. So are we taking the Chiefs then in the 5 o'clocker?
Oh, absolutely. I think
Yeah,
it's
I
not.
think-
It's going to be like 21-9. I'd be lucky if Miami gets 9 points. I'd be lucky if Kansas City
Hey,
gets 21.
it's a home game for the Chiefs. You know what that means? Some Taylor Swift magic, baby. Let's go.
and that's
Swifties.
you know part of the season too. Kelsey is all of a sudden he's old. Like he has gotten old.
Well,
Like,
he
he's
is
not-
33, right? That's old for
He's
He's
old.
getting worn out.
33
yeah,
is not
well,
young for a football player.
especially
That's
for
like
like
you're in the
his
twilight.
position, being a
Yeah.
tight end. Like he takes a lot of punishment blocking and all that mumbo jumbo.
Yeah, the tight end is the only position that's worse on your body is running back, I think, than
Yeah.
well, maybe line.
Oh, they're all bad, especially if you're a lineman or
Yeah.
whatever.
But you do a lot of.
But-
You're going into the mix against those 300-pound linemen all the time,
Right.
Like every
Oh, yeah.
second snap, right?
Yeah,
You're
no
you're
thanks.
going in there to block someone that's
Yeah.
way bigger than you. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
tight
you-
end is a rough
It's
position for
sports. You get old, right? It
Yeah.
is what it is. He's still a great player. I'm not gonna take anything away from what he's done, but I kind
sure.
of
He's one of the greatest tight ends ever to play the game.
and I think the Chiefs like next season are gonna have to really find some receivers. Well, there's a
He's
lot of
on
them.
contract, right? Travis Kelce
I think so.
for like he'll probably play another couple seasons, I think. and
Yeah.
then
I think
probably
his
retire
role
at
will
35,
will
36.
get diminished a little bit next year, but they're gonna need to. He needs to be leaned on for them to win the Super Bowl this year. Like they need him to be Travis Kelce of last year or the year before.
To be fair, though, like I think Patrick Mahomes has played really well this year. I just think his receivers have
They're
fucking
like-
dropped the ball, like
Well-
literally dropped the ball on him, and he's just
Yeah.
standing there like, "How much better can I throw that ball to you?
Yeah.
Like I don't know what else I can do."
Like he
You just
hasn't
drop
been
the
as
ball.
good either, but he's still great. Like you put him on the 49ers, he'd have like 98,000 passing
Dude, an
yards.
average Patrick Mahomes is still a top 5 quarterback in the
Right.
NFL.
So I don't think Kansas City has the firepower to win the Super Bowl. But
Who do they play if they beat the Dolphins? I guess it doesn't.
They
have
play
to
Buffalo. they play the highest seed left. Well, they wouldn't play because they're the 3. So Buffalo beats Pittsburgh because Buffalo's the 2. They would play Buffalo in Buffalo if they win and Buffalo wins.
How many times did you say Buffalo?
Buffalo. Buffalo. And it's funny. I'm not going to say that word
Buffalo.
anymore. The Bills. I because all you see on TSN is Bills all the time. It's like I don't care. They're not good. Stop telling us they're good because they're
Well,
really.
hey,
They
everybody
played
says
smart.
the NFL is scripted, so the script is now about the Bills, right?
I do.
They played nothing but garbage teams, and then
Yeah.
they're in the playoffs, and now it's like, according to TSN, they're the second coming of the Pittsburgh Steelers of the 70s.
Yeah.
Like, no, they're not that good. But anyways, no team is that good except for the Ravens and the 49ers. Really,
the
because all
Ravens.
the other teams, you take out the 2-1 seeds, and everybody else is kind of just mediocre. Really, like,
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
don't know. That's just my opinion.
that is a good Super Bowl matchup, though. The Ravens and the Niners.
Well, we saw that game already this year, and the Ravens killed them.
Wow, Purdy
Murdered
had a horrible
Yeah,
game. He
but
threw
you know, it's a lot changes game to
Yeah.
game too,
Yep.
right? Like, sure, they got rest and yada yada, but you're
Oh, the
you're
rest could be
getting banged
bad.
up. Your
Because they
season's
rested
different.
everybody
you've-
week 18 as well. So they're
Yeah.
going to be 2 weeks of doing nothing. Both teams.
3 weeks.
3?
Like
Which
if you
is-
factor in
and that's
week
it.
17 game ends, they don't play week 18, they don't play wild card weekend.
Yep.
It's almost 4 weeks of like full rest if you
Yeah,
if you
it's a
factor
lot.
that, right?
That's also dangerous on the flip side, right? Because
Could be,
there's
yes.
something to be said for being in the groove. You see it, you know, and hockey especially. Like the hockey playoffs are fucking god awful. It is the worst trophy in professional sports to try and win.
To be
And
fair,
if
it's
you take
amazing as
too
a
much
viewer,
time
but
off, you're out of that groove. It's
Yeah.
there's a fine line between taking rest to go into a big spot healthy and falling out of the consistency of this is what I do. Is I'm going here, then I'm doing this, then I'm doing this, then I got this, and then I do that. And you sometimes with too much rest, it's
That's rust.
counterproductive.
You get rusty.
to be fair, what Matt is saying that is the NHL playoffs are amazing to watch. It's probably the best playoffs as a viewer to watch, but as a player, they are insanely grueling on the
Oh
body.
God, yeah.
Like you're playing 82 games in a high contact sport
Mhm.
throughout a season, and then you have to go win 16 games.
more. And
which
you have
more of the times it's
28
more like
you might play to get those 16 wins 28 games.
in a month and a half.
Yes,
Every second
is-
day you're playing a
it is
playoff game, basically.
absolutely
Yeah.
brutal. It's baseball and basketball, you know, it's multiple games per week, right? But it
Yeah.
doesn't have the impact. Football definitely has the impact. As much as I want to bust balls on that, it is definitely a high contact sport, but they only play once a week, right?
Yeah.
And that's so when you're talking about resting your players and you're talking about 4 weeks off, that might be a little too much.
And honestly,
it's-
only your key 3 or 4 players, other than the linemen, basically are taking every snap. Like your quarterback and your main running back and main wide receiver are pretty much taking most
Your
of
star
the
players,
snaps.
your
star
your
players.
linchpin guys,
But
whatever they are.
the bulk of them don't take every snap. They
Yeah.
rest. You bring in your fullback every like couple of plays to have them run through the line, basically, or whatnot. Or you bring your second, third receiver when you're doing pass plays, but they're not playing every snap either. So they do get to rest in a football game. The secondary players, at least, anyways. But yeah,
Yeah,
so-
it's tough. It's not a light sport. There's a reason they space these things out. I enjoy busting balls on it to football fans, but the brutality, the physical toll on the game is not lost on me. It's awful.
I actually think we should change the name of football to Death Egg. That's a good name.
Yeah,
Or
is.
throw
A
ball is
lot
what
of-
the English
a
people
lot
call
of-
it.
yeah.
Egg ball.
American death egg ball.
So we're in consensus at Kansas City. Sorry, I'm just cutting you guys off.
100%.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Because we're starting
100%.
we're meandering. I think tomorrow's games are the best games. My opinion.
Yep. I like the Steelers Dolphins game just because
Steelers, Bills.
or sorry, Dolphins Chiefs game just
Oh,
because
it's gonna suck. It's too cold. It's gonna suck.
well, I know
Really?
a lot of people that are really big fans of both teams that I work with, so I hear a lot of chatter about those teams throughout the entire season. So
Oh, okay.
I know
Well,
a
that's cool.
lot about both
Yeah,
teams.
yeah.
because the owners of my pub are massive Dolphin fans, and a couple people that I serve and work with are massive Chiefs fans. So, and it could be a good matchup. But anyways, so the game you're going to talk about, the Bills and the Steelers.
Well, we're gonna
Right.
move on because that's on Monday. Let's just bump that.
You want
to
to do that
the-
one last then? Okay.
Yeah, let's do that last.
Okay.
Let's do Green Bay and Dallas.
Green Bay all the way. Only because I cannot stand the Cowboys.
No, I'm not a big Cowboys fan
Cannot
either.
stand the Cowboys. I cannot.
Like, it's funny because the Packers were not good for the first half of the year, but the
Jordan
second
Love,
half-
baby.
second half of the year, Jordan Love has found his place in life, and those young receivers that Aaron Rodgers apparently couldn't throw the ball to last year, Jordan Love is being able to put the ball right where it needs to be. And the
Dude, what
Pack
is
are playing
with
well, man.
what is with the Packers and getting like all-star quarterbacks?
You know, like
Like
they
Aaron
drafted
Rodgers, and before that, Brett Favre.
Brett Favre.
You know,
Well, and they drafted Jordan Love 4 years ago, and everyone's
Bart
like,
Starr
why?
in the day. But
Yeah, why would you waste a draft pick on a quarterback when Aaron was still like 30, whatever, 32, 33? Who cares? It doesn't matter how old he was, but he studied under one of the greatest arms to play the game, and now that's kind of rubbing off. And this is his quote unquote first playoff game, but he's been there the last 4 years through all the heartbreak the Packers have gone through. He's been there, he's seen it, and he's been through it. Like, the Pack are huge underdogs. Like, it's like, I think that Dallas is favored by 7, and they're a monster at home. But if things kind of don't go their way, and because all the pressure is on Dallas, Green Bay's got nothing to lose, man. They're going to go in, they're going to be throwing that ball everywhere.
I just
just
can't. I can't ever cheer for Dallas. I
No.
just want them to lose.
I
But
know, I hear
Jordan
you.
Love is 7th in total yards thrown this season, and I
Yeah.
think he's second in touchdown passes.
Yeah.
So
Well, I got
he's had-
stats between him and Dak. Like you said, Jordan, he threw for 41-59. Dak threw for 45-16. Okay. You know,
Yeah.
Jordan averaged 244 a game. Dak averaged 265. So not a huge difference. You know, 32 touchdowns to 36 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions to 9. So they're quite comparable. Like,
and their completion percentage is within like 5% of each other. Yardage is within 400 of each other. So
yeah. Of course, the Cowboys are the sexy team. They won lots of games and blah, 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 right? Like, good for them. But I don't know, man. Like,
So you're either a Cowboys fan or you hate the Cowboys.
I hate the Cowboys.
It's
There's
the
no
same-
middle ground on that one.
The
Yeah, even
Cowboys
I know
are
that.
like the football equivalent of like Manchester United in soccer, or the Toronto Maple Leafs in the
Yeah,
NHL.
it's first
like
to
you
fifth.
either
There's no
yeah.
middle gear in that one.
It's just
Absolutely.
and it's just I don't know. Thankfully, there's not a lot of Cowboy fans that come to Sam's. There's only like 2 of them.
Which is surprising because they're like the universally most popular team.
Yeah, but they let you know they're a Cowboy fan as soon as they
That's
walk in
true.
through the
Yes,
door.
yes,
like
they
they're
do.
fully kitted out and just like
Yeah.
Cowboys. You got the Cowboys on that TV. Which TV is the Cowboys on? I'm just
And
like,
they're
"Well,
also
buddy."
vegan CrossFitters, right? Like, same sort of thing.
Yep.
So here's something I just had sent to me that I found interesting, and this is going back to a couple of things ago, but I found it funny. Orchard Park, New York. The Buffalo Bills and Jenny King are asking anyone 18 and over or under 18 with proper working papers interested in shoveling snow inside the stadium to come to Highmark Stadium starting at 10 p.m. tomorrow, Saturday night, to be part of the team to get the venue ready for the hometown Bills wild card playoff game versus the Steelers. Shovelers can shovel snow throughout the night on Saturday into Sunday morning if needed. The rate of pay is $20 an hour. And below that, winter storm warning in effect from 10 a.m. Saturday to 7 a.m. Monday Eastern Standard Time. What? Heavy take effect, snow, a very strong winds expected. Total snow accumulations 1 to 3 feet.
And it's going to be fucking
Dude,
cold.
I love
too.
watching those games, man. Those
postpone
snow
the
games are so
fucking
much fun to watch.
Well, that's why they postponed
For
it till
sure.
Monday, right? They gave it a day so they could hire people to go
There's
shovel
still gonna
everything
be
out.
Snow
and-
there though, man.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
you saw there was something similar happening, I think, in a I want to say a Welcome to Wrexham episode, but it might have been Ted Lasso, where it's just like, we're fucked. And so the fans ended up. It was one of the two shows, and I can't remember which, but the fans and the supporters just showed up and cleared the snow off the pitch.
Yeah.
You know what? Borrow a warmer stadium. I don't think Arizona's using their stadium. Just fucking go there.
Well, last year they had to go to Detroit because it was too wintry in Buffalo, so they had to go play indoors.
It's a common theme in Buffalo for the playoffs, eh? They're
Well,
always like, well, we can't
it
play
never
against
has-
it this week.
Never has been. It has been until recently, like last year and
Last
and
year,
this
this
year.
year.
It never in the past, like, okay, it's cold and snowy. They got 80 feet of snow, and okay, you play.
And that's always fucking baffled me. Is like, why are we playing a fall spring? I mean, football's probably not good for the summer heat, and that's fine. But why are we playing this sport where it leads into freezing to death at work?
Right.
Can't we
Yeah.
start maybe start it in February and go till May? I don't.
You shift it
It-
around. You start the season in November and then have the Super Bowl in May, basically when it's
Yeah, I mean it's,
But
and I
they'll
know
never
that
do that now.
it's vast. The teams are vast from all over the US climates, but I mean, guys, this just seems, the timing just seems silly to me, and I know that's never going to change. It's just maybe we start at in late winter, early spring, but I don't know. It's beyond me. Same with proper football. It's like, why are we playing this summer game in the winter? I don't
That's
know.
why Buffalo will never host a Super Bowl.
Oh, 100%.
They
I think we
can't.
should. New York did like, a while ago. They did.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
okay.
I mean,
so
everybody gets their shot, right?
these
think
are
it
the
should be.
last. So next year the Super Bowl's in New Orleans, but these are the last a couple cities to host the Super Bowl or places. So
Mhm.
this year it's in Nevada. Last year it was in Arizona, in Glendale. The year before was in California. 2021 was in Tampa Bay, Florida. 2020 was in Miami, Florida. The year before was Georgia, and then 2018 they actually had it in Minnesota, which is surprising because
Well, it's
I-
Yeah,
indoors.
right.
No,
it's
Minnesota's
indoors though, right?
It's indoors.
That's
Yeah.
correct. Yeah. Then they had, before that was Texas, before that was California, before that was Arizona again, before that was New Jersey,
Yeah,
which is
When they opened,
interesting. Yeah.
where the Giants play. Yeah.
Yeah. And then New Orleans, Indianapolis, Texas, Florida, Arizona,
Yeah.
Florida. So there's a pattern here, right? They
Yes.
play because
Warm
there's so
or a
much.
dome.
It's either in a dome or they go to an area where they know the weather
Yeah.
isn't going to be critical because there's so much money that goes into the Super Bowl with the ads, with the talent that have to come out there, the halftime show. It's a huge event. Are you going to risk it by having it in a place like Buffalo with their weather? Or do you just say, screw it, have it in a place that we know is going to be good?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the
So-
CFL, all the stadiums are open air, and we just do not give
It
a we
doesn't
Canadian
matter.
the shit out of it. But we're also done by mid-November.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Yeah, right when that
Like,
winter
granted,
starts. It's like
when
the
you're
la-
dealing with teams like Saskatoon and Edmonton and Calgary, the winters already got you right by the short and curlies. But
Yep.
Well, did you watch the
so-
Grey Cup this year? Jesus.
I did not.
It was
Shocking.
so cold.
So Seb, who's going to win, Dallas or Green Bay?
As much as I wanna like I'm hard cheering for Green
Well,
Bay
yeah,
because I
yeah.
like Green
But
Bay.
what is your heart? What does your heart tell you?
Dallas is gonna win. I can't see Green Bay winning. Dallas is actually pretty good.
They are
Like,
pretty good.
As much as I hate them and I don't want to cheer for them or give them props, they're a good team.
Yeah.
So
I'll take Green Bay.
that's your
That's
underdog
my.
pick?
That's. I think Green Bay can win. I think they can do it.
There's a chance, but I'm not sold on them. Yeah, it's
But I think it all comes down to which Dallas team shows up. If it's the one that's kind of like Cleveland, they just don't show up sometimes, and sometimes Dallas doesn't show up. But again,
Yeah.
at home they don't lose. But I'm still taking Green
I
Bay.
like it. I like it. It's a toss up for me. It could be either or, but I'm still leaning towards. As much as I hate to say it, I'm still leaning
Yeah.
towards the Cowboys.
And then the night game, I think, is the most sort of like storyline wise.
Dude, Stafford playing against
Stafford
his
going
old team.
home to Detroit,
Yeah.
Goff playing McVay again, and those sort of all those guys, they know each other so well. And the Rams,
So,
the Rams
I'm
are
sure-
smoking hot. I would
I'm
not want
sure
to play them.
Matt doesn't know this, but the Detroit Lions had a franchise quarterback in Matt Stafford, who's now playing for the LA Rams, who are playing the Lions in this
So
playoff game.
basically they traded quarterbacks straight up, and then
Yeah.
LA had to give a first round pick as well to get Stafford out of Detroit. And then that very same next year, the Rams won the Super Bowl against my Bengals with Stafford. And then Goff went to
Yeah.
Detroit. Goff was written off, and now Detroit is really good.
Yep.
But McVay, their coach, Sean McVay of the Rams, he's a brilliant football mind. That team has won a lot of games in the second half of the year, and
Man, the way the Rams started, I had no hope.
no,
of them
they're like
making the
1-5
playoffs.
or some shit. They're
Yeah.
horrible. And Detroit hasn't won a playoff game. They haven't had a playoff game at home in 30 years. They haven't. I don't think they've ever won a playoff game. Ever.
I think the most pressure out of any team this entire playoffs is on
It's
Detroit.
on Detroit.
though.
Yeah,
'Cause-
absolutely.
'cause, yeah.
100%. And Detroit's kind of their
They're
star
kind of like
tight
the
end is
Leafs
hurt.
recently, where they lose in the first round of the playoffs.
Well, yeah, at least the Leafs
consistently.
get to the playoffs. So that's the thing. Detroit doesn't even seem to want to do that. But yeah, Detroit's that franchise. Like every sport's got one, right? Where the team, they've been around for 300 years and they've never won anything. Like they won championships back in the 40s and 50s.
Yeah,
And that
the
was
Vancouver Canucks.
that was it, right? Like, well, at least the Canucks have been to the dance though. Like they've been
3 times.
3 times they've been there,
in their
and they
history,
were
yeah.
close on 2 occasions, right?
Yeah. Well, they were
but-
close, but they weren't close. They were
Well-
closer in the game against New York than they were in Boston.
Oh,
in Game
absolutely. Yeah,
7, but-
they hit the post in overtime. It's
No, in the third period, it was they hit
third
the-
period. Oh, my bad.
Lafayette hit the cross. I only know this because I know the stats. But
Just let go,
Lafayette-
Seb. It's
Yeah,
okay.
okay, I'm sorry.
It's
Well,
only it's only been
just
30
got a
years.
text from a listener that is interested in making the $20 an hour. Unfortunately, he's in California right now and will not be able to get to Buffalo.
Not
to
sure
do that.
the flight would offset the $20 an hour. For,
Yeah. You
No,
know,
I don't think so.
it's
Well, you're around the
it's
Super
dad.
or
Old
around
Doug
the
is still
playoffs.
traveling and snowbirding, so he is tuning in down there in California. So thanks for sending the text. Feel free out there if you are watching the video, enter the comment section. We can pull these up. You can join the conversation with us. We can play off of that. All right, boys.
so
I actually think this is going to be the best game of
Yes.
the wild card
I
weekend. The
think so,
Rams
too.
versus the Lions. So
and who do you
it's-
who do you have? Who do you think?
in my bracket, I did take the Lions. I did take Detroit,
Okay.
but this is a close one. I think.
As much as I've just been pumping up the Rams, saying they're awesome and they're really hot, Detroit's been consistently good all year. I think this is
They've
their
gotten
time,
better throughout the season too.
and I think this is their time. They're finally going to get that monkey off their back and win a game at home, and they will get another home game, I believe, if they win because they're the 3 seed. Well, yeah, they might. Depends what happens, but
Cowboys is the second seed, right?
Cowboys 2, 49ers are 1. Yeah, I'd like to see. I'd love to see the Lions win because I
Yeah.
still don't like the Rams because they beat my team a couple years ago. But yeah, it's going to be a tight game. It's going to be high scoring because there's no defense on either side. It's going to be like 30,
It'll be a banger
35
of a
to
game.
33 or something crazy. It's going to be a lot of points. So I bet the over on that one for sure. I don't know what the over under is, but I bet the over. in that one.
The next game will be the lowest scoring game.
Oh God, the fucking so I guess let's go to Steelers and Bills.
Okay.
Okay, forget winter. These teams, they all have all these teams have warts. The Bills, I made fun of them earlier, and they like to give games away. And the Steelers are not good. I don't know how the hell they made the playoffs.
They're 10-7, so that's surprising. That's shocking. But
Right. So they find ways to win. They win low scoring games. They win with defense. They run the ball. What works
Yeah.
well in shitty, snowy, cold weather? Running the ball and defense. And all the pressures on the Bills because they choke every year. Like every year they do something dumb and then they lose. And then it's woe is Bills. Blah blah blah.
to be fair, though, like they're coming out of a division where they've had to play. They play Baltimore twice, right?
They play Baltimore twice, they play Cleveland twice, and they play
That's a
Cincinnati
good
twice.
division.
It's a good division, right?
Right.
Every team's over
So-
500. They beat the
Yeah.
Bengals both times, I think. No, everybody beats the Bengals in their own division, but I think the Bengals were 1-5 or 0-6. They're 1-5, so they lost to the Steelers twice and the Ravens.
It's just, to me, and I may just be out to lunch here, but the Steelers is like the sleeper team that I have
Mhm.
not paid attention to the entire season, and they're
Yeah.
all of a sudden in the playoffs. So
Yeah.
usually when that happens with a team, they surprise you by going deep.
And they're on
Um,
quarterback number 3 as well. Like they've gone through the carousel, and
Yeah.
he's been a long time backup. He's not that good, but he can throw the ball down the field, which I don't think anybody's going to be chucking the ball down the field on Monday in that Buffalo game, just because
al-
of the cold and the snow. But
They also needed Week 18 magic to make it into the playoffs, though, because they needed to win, and then I can't remember what it was, but another team had to lose. The Jaguars, I think.
yeah, the
Couldn't- couldn't have
Jags had to
won.
lose for
They
the
had to
Steelers to
lose.
get in, and then,
Yeah.
the Jags choked.
Yeah, that's always a fun bit of the season when you've done everything you can, and now you're counting on somebody else to either,
Yeah.
well, I mean, win or lose. I mean, you want to be rooting for the one team and not against. It's like, we need you to lose, but at the same time, it's like, no, we want these other guys to win. But it just human nature is like, I need these motherfuckers to lose.
So
Yeah, so this game particularly has the least implications on home, even though it's going to be in a frozen arena. But Pittsburgh is used to playing in that environment.
yes,
right,
Like,
so is Buffalo. So I guess
So is
maybe you
Buffalo.
can throw all that out the door. The
think,
Bills are
yeah.
10-point favorites. That's a lot.
yeah, because I'm looking
It's
at
not,
these. I'm looking at these matchups, and
Too
with the
high.
exception of the Steelers and the Bills, it's warm climate versus cold climate through the other 5 games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Texas is
Yeah.
a lot warmer than Cleveland.
Yeah,
You
you're
know,
right.
Miami, and obviously we've been through that. The Cowboys again. Texas is a lot warmer than Green Bay. Same with the Eagles and the Bucks and the Rams and the Lions. Like, it's a north-south sort of series of matchups here, with the exception of the Bills and the Steelers that basically play in the snow regardless. Right?
I'm going to go on a limb and take Pittsburgh because I just think it's funny.
I still think the Bills pull it off.
I just want them to. Right? Of course, it makes for more exciting TV because next week could be Buffalo and Kansas City. So again, another playoff.
That's
repeat.
what the NFL wants.
That's what the
Buffalo,
NFL
Kansas City.
wants, right? They want Buffalo to play the Chiefs, get
Yeah.
revenge at home, as opposed because remember a couple of years ago they had the 13-second game where the Chiefs like stormed down the
Yep.
field in 13 seconds and won the game, and somehow
Yeah, it's like it's over. Game's over. All of a sudden,
Yeah,
the
it's
Chiefs
like-
win. You're like,
it's
what
like
the
boom,
hell
boom,
just
boom.
happened
It's
here?
like, well, yeah, what just happened,
Patrick and Holmes magic, baby.
right? So that's what the NFL wants. So
Yeah.
maybe if Matt's theory is correct, and that's what the NFL is going to get.
I'm going Bills. I'm going Bills.
I'll go Steelers. What the hell?
Matt, you
They might
pick
not
tie.
win, but if you're putting money on it, they'll cover.
You know what? I'm just gonna sit over here. I'm gonna treat this like the Iron Maiden show. Just watch you two bust each other's balls and know that at some point one of you is gonna be laughing.
Yeah.
Fun
And
fact
the other's
here.
gonna be upset.
Fun fact here, gentlemen, is that Pittsburgh is the only city that has the same colors for every one of their major sports
Correct.
teams. It's
You're
all
right.
All
black, and gold.
Yeah.
Their football team, their baseball team, their hockey team all wear the same colors. So
Yeah.
that's pretty neat, man. So
Yeah, that's kinda
I think
cool.
that's a really good model to adopt, and that kind of
Yeah.
creates fan
unity,
camaraderie,
right? Yep.
unity, because you're gonna like, you're a Penguins fan, but you're also gonna amalgamate to being a Steelers fan and a Pirates fan
Yep.
because they're all the same colors, the same style, right? So yeah,
Even
Absolutely.
though I do like
Yeah.
the blue Penguin jerseys, the baby blue that they had in the 80s there for a while.
dude, did you guys see
Those are
the
sexy jerseys, man.
Did you guys see the Devils jerseys when they played the Canucks?
Yeah, those are cool, eh?
The black
Yep.
and white one, it was
Yeah.
solid black and white. I kept looking, thinking they were playing the Kings, and I could not get
Yeah.
over the fact that they were the Devils. I'm like, it keeps like because I've never seen them in a black and white jersey. Anyways,
Yeah,
yeah,
it was
so-
it was cool. I liked it. I thought it was pretty slick.
so the next game is
Oh.
an anomaly in itself. Matt, check this out. The Eagles are 11-6.
Okay.
And they're playing Tampa Bay, which are 9-8, but Tampa Bay is the higher seed because they won
How
their
the
division.
fuck does that
Because
work?
they won their
Because they won their division.
Jesus Christ.
And
They won their division at 9-8.
Yes.
Yep.
Their division's bad.
Okay, so right now, I think this is an argument for adopting the UK football model, where it's like, yeah, you don't get to play here no more. You
Well,
go
they do-
down. and
well,
Here's,
go down a
here's
week.
here's the thing though. Tampa Bay wins this game.
I think so because
Tampa Bay wins this game.
so Philly started out 10-1. and now they're 11-6.
They've lost 5 of the last 6 games.
And they haven't just lost these games. They've
Oh.
lost to a 3-win team, a 4-win team. They've lost to some bad teams and got killed.
That's a
bad teams.
bad way to enter the playoffs.
So,
They're really banged up.
Tampa
They-
Bay for sure is the worst team in the playoffs, arguably.
It's the bit either them or Pittsburgh. It's one of the two, right?
And you think they're
I'd
going
say
to take
Tampa.
advantage of the losing streak that the Eagles are on?
Yes,
Philly,
Eagles are
Okay.
terrible.
As much to
I
your
have-
friend's chagrin, they have shown no heart in the last like 5 weeks. Nothing.
You know what? I've seen worse things than that. I mean, it's not inconceivable at all. It is 100% not just plausible, but likely, because it
Yeah.
just seems to be one of the ways, especially if you just start eating shit at the end of the season like that. It is
Like, they've
tough
lost-
psychologically to break out of that.
They've lost their heart.
Especially-
I don't know
and
what
now-
happened.
This is the thing that doesn't get talked about a whole lot. I mean, yeah, we had a little bit of this earlier this hockey season, but the shit that goes on in the locker room can really be some game-changing stuff. And when you
Yeah.
eat shit like that, you gotta wonder, are we not seeing the full thing? Is like this team coming unglued in the locker room, and that's why they're not dealing with it? And if that's
And-
the case, they're fucked.
And
They
body
really won't win.
language is a big thing, right? So,
Yep.
you know, they look all pouty and sad and look like they just don't give a
Mhm.
shit. And
They
the
look
other team on
defeated,
the other
like they don't
side
know
is
what to
like,
do.
you know, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And they're lost.
They're
kind
coming
of.
in on
Mm-hmm.
2 different levels. Like Philadelphia's coming in as a disaster has just struck us mentality, and Tampa
Yep.
Bay's like, we made the
And-
playoffs.
Yeah.
Tampa's
You know.
happy to be there, and
So
they
they got
aren't
nothing
very
to lose.
good, but they're at home. You know, they got heart. They got Baker Mayfield, the quarterback.
Hey.
The dude doesn't know when to quit.
Who used
Yeah.
to be a Brown.
OU.
Right. Still
OU
should be
guy,
proud.
thanks to Jim Ross for pointing that out to me repeatedly for years.
But
I
but
think
it's,
Tampa wins
it-
this, man. I really do. I don't.
Yeah.
I think
you know what? It sets up a Cinderella story too. As much as you can talk about, this is what the NFL wants over here: is these two teams. The NFL loves people. Period. This is why Disney sports movies, especially, are popular. That underdog Cinderella story is,
Yeah.
you know, we barely made the playoffs, and now we're in the Super Bowl.
yeah,
Dude, you
right?
would have asked me in midseason who was winning the Super Bowl. It would have been Philadelphia. They were the last team to
lose.
so
Yeah.
they started off in a perfect record.
Yeah,
And they
I
looked
think 10-0, and then-
absolutely dominant for like the first
Yep.
half of the season, and then it all fell apart.
And they've
Um,
lost AJ Brown, their best receiver, deep threat. He's hurt. He's out. They got a bunch of guys on defense out. Jalen Hurts, their quarterback, is hurt. He hurt his finger in his throwing hand.
Which is
And
very
again,
important, actually. if
It's
you
kind,
think
it's
about
kind
it.
of, it's you know, having fingers when you throw the ball is
Mhm.
is an important thing. But they have no heart. I don't know what happened. Like nobody knows what happened besides what's going on. Like
well, I
Matt
mean,
said,
that
in the locker room,
leans
right?
towards, to me, that leans towards there's a problem in that locker room.
Mhm.
Is there's some conflict in there somewhere. Now, smart teams are really good about not letting it out there. You know, whether it's, you know, so and so, you know, is banging my mom or whatever else. It once those problems start, if this is the case, you'll probably see a bunch of weird trades out of Philly.
Well,
You'll
Phil-
you'll turn around and be like, why would they let him go? If you can't solve a problem, eliminate it. Right? And it's
Yeah.
just,
If I'm-
no, you can't play in the sandbox nicely, and the team fell apart. So good luck over here.
Yeah.
So the Eagles have been really good for like 6-7 years. Like they
Mhm.
won 2018. They won the Super Bowl. Last year they were in the Super Bowl. They lost to Kansas City.
Yep.
So they've had some hard seasons playing deep.
And in 2018,
recently.
they were that Cinderella team because they
Mhm.
lost their starting quarterback. They rode Nick
Yeah.
Foles through the whole playoffs and magically beat the Patriots. So,
Yeah.
magically. But I don't think they're the Cinderella team. I think Green Bay would be the Cinderella team to go, or Cleveland.
Tampa.
Tampa's just not. Tampa will get killed by any other team in the playoffs.
They win this game and get just absolutely butt fucked.
they're gonna
in
get
the next one.
Like they
Excuse
beat,
my
so
language.
they're the 4 seed, so they go
You
to
know
San
what?
Francisco. They get killed. They would get murdered by San Francisco. But you never know, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I actually really like Tampa Bay. Bet on it. It's a good odds.
Is that
to
your
bet.
was that your lock of the week you were talking about? What was
No,
your
my master lock pick of the century. Bet your house on it is Kansas City over over Miami.
Okay,
That,
fair
I
enough.
can't see Kansas City losing that. Not at home.
I don't think so.
But every time I've made a master lock pick of the century, bet your house on it, it's been wrong. So
even though the
you know,
even though the
Bring a
Bengals
bunch
have
of homeless people to your name, are you? That's what you
Yeah.
want to do. In this weather, you want to put people homeless. That is,
Yes,
you
put 'em
are
on the
evil,
street.
sir.
hey, I've never.
Here's what I'm going to suggest. You two go through, make your
Rapid
6
fire?
picks
Rapid
on these
fire.
wild card games, and we'll put it up on the show page. Right near the end of, just after I as I'm tinkering with our post show and getting everything ready for the on demand. Make your picks. I'll post
Okay.
them, and then we'll see how this turns out next
Okay.
week. I do have one more thing I want to share with you guys. This is away from football. This is celebrating a buddy of mine. He lives up above the Arctic Circle, and is having as an absolutely killer start to the year. I'll be sharing more about this as his year rolls along, because he's got some pretty big things. One of which is I've met him on the Jericho cruise. I cannot wait to see him in a couple weeks. He's going to have some absolutely killer times between now and then. But last year after the cruise, he went from hanging out in Miami and the Caribbean Ocean to Winnipeg, where are you
Why?
guys familiar with? Oh, hold on. We'll find out. Are you guys familiar with the Pro Wrestling Death Tour?
No.
Is that like a death match tour or something like that? Or
No, it's not. But they filmed a documentary. It only happens in the winter because they need the ice roads to do this. And what happens is the wrestling company out of Winnipeg with Tony Condello, who is largely responsible for some big name careers. I mean, Chris Jericho, Lance Storm, Don Callis, Edge, Christian, Rhino, all did these death tours. And they did a documentary on it last year. And it happened to be the tour that my boy was on. So
Nice.
they've just released the first trailer of it. This is a Chris Jericho produced deal. And, my buddy went from this nice warm boat to what we're about to see right here. And I'm very happy for Desi. I will point him out as he pops up on this, but I want you guys to check this out. And like I said, this is just celebrating a buddy's good fortune at this point, and he gets to be in this particular film.
The death tour is the hardest tour there is in sports.
If you want to be a wrestler, the death tour is a definite way to prove to yourself and to others that you have what it takes.
And that's my buddy Dez right there.
Problem is,
nice.
get there. It's not easy.
There's Dr. Demi blocking the road.
Said he'd been there at 2 o'clock this morning.
When wrestling does arrive to these very remote, isolated indigenous communities,
Just getting there now.
it's like WrestleMania, in the reservation. You got to perform every night. After 3 weeks of it, a couple of them, all of them, will crack.
Y'all ready? We are off.
No alcohol, no drugs.
There he is.
Do not break those rules.
You're probably not going to have cell service up there. So how will you keep in touch?
Smoke signals.
But way up north where it's really remote, people feel hopeless.
That's Dez.
Sometimes you can kind of feel that dark energy in the communities.
Tony Condello, who's been running these tours, he says this is the most deaths he's had on any tour.
So all we can do is give them the best show we possibly can.
Wrestling has always been a source of healing and like light in my life.
Fire them up tonight. Let's go!
But every time we get in the ring, we get that crowd to react. That's what I live for.
Cool.
Yeah, that's nice that they do that.
This trip here, they can wrestle anywhere in the world.
That's nice.
So you
that
can
they
check
do
that out for those of
Yeah.
you that are just listening on deathtourdoc.com. I'm really excited for my buddy at this point. You heard he got a video clip in there at one point, got a voiceover. Watching his Facebook posts go along as he was doing this tour post cruise, I'm so happy for him. I mean, he's a big leader up there in the community in Inuvik, and being able to bring these shows to communities that, like, I mean, we think we're starved. We don't get Major League Baseball. We got to travel for NFL. We got to travel for NBA. But these communities have literally nothing. They are isolated, and to be able to get these things, you see the excitement on the kids' faces in that documentary.
Yeah.
Really happy for you, Desi Bear. I'll see you in a couple weeks. I
Well, they
cannot
don't
wait to
get-
see this documentary.
They don't get like any consistent entertainment coming up to those remote places, right?
I mean, let's
So-
be honest, they don't even really get clean water in a lot of these places
Yeah.
either, right? Like you would think, much like I was saying about football, why are you doing this in the winter? Why are they doing it in the summer, in the winter for these tours? Is because they need the ice roads to get it done. They need the ice. So, guys like Chris Jericho and Edge and Christian and Rhino and Lance Storm all have these stories about being on these tours, and it is life-threatening driving between these towns and communities.
Dude, I couldn't help but keep thinking, like, you look at the audience and they're all in jackets and hoodies and they're out there without no shirt on in wrestling tights. I'm like, it's gotta be cold. It's gotta be cold in that arena.
Yeah, you warming up is got to be a
Oh,
thing.
boy.
Maybe when this drops and we get a chance to actually see it, maybe we'll see if we can have Des come and join us and
Sure.
really break it down. That would be super cool. I know he's really, really busy for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's on tour.
Well, no,
Well,
he's got a couple other things going on. It's going to be a big year for him, and I want to support my buddy. So as things roll out for him, I'll be letting everybody know. It is an absolutely wonderful story about a guy that is in a very remote part of the world doing his absolute best to elevate his community at this point. I mean, he parties like a friggin' rock star, but at the same time, when he gets home, he runs a wrestling organization up there to bring these shows to the kids. He's and the community, because like it's not like they're getting a lot of rock concerts up there, right? Like they're not just taking I won hockey tickets, I'm just going to run down to the rink and watch the Canucks in Edmonton or anything like that.
Yeah, you got to fly or drive quite a distance to go
Yes,
see
you
your
do.
local sports team.
And
the area.
and he's also doing comedy. He's on CBC. He's doing a lot of things, and he's really trying to bring a spotlight. It's a fascinating deal. And my other buddy that works as a wrestler for Dez's promotion gets to wrestle Gangrel the night before the cruise this year. And then they're both on the boat. So I keep teasing him. It's like rematch in the bar lineup, or what's going on, buddy?
Man, the Brood entrance was one of the coolest entrances in WWE history, man. I
Yeah,
loved it.
it really was. But I mean,
The
that's
music, the
beyond the
backwards
point.
speaking. Yeah.
As this documentary becomes available, I'll be letting people know. It's fucking crazy what people will do for
the craft.
For their craft. Yeah.
All right, Mike, are we just going to do this rapid fire, I guess?
Yep.
Okay, who do you got in the first one? Browns or Texans?
Browns.
Same, Browns. Chiefs and Dolphins? Chiefs. That's the master lock of the century pick.
That's Seb's.
Bet your house on it.
That's your house.
Do not bet your house. Bills or Steelers?
Steelers.
I got the Bills.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Cowboys
going off
and-
the. I'm going off
Yeah.
I'm going off the edge here.
Cowboys and Packers. I have the Cowboys. You have the Pack, I think.
Yeah, I'll take
Yeah.
the Packers.
Lions and Rams.
Lions.
Same, Lions.
Yeah.
And then I think we both have the Bucks, don't we? Bucks and Eagles.
Yeah, it'll be something else if Philly doesn't show up and lose this game, man. That
They lose
team
this
is-
game. I think
Oof.
they lose this game.
Man,
Okay, so let me get this straight. Seb, you're taking the Browns, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Cowboys, the Lions, and the Bucks.
The Browns, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Cowboys, the Lions, and the Bucks. Correct.
Mike, you're Browns, Chiefs, Steelers, Packers, Lions, and Bucks.
Yes.
Yeah,
All
sounds
right,
about
cool.
right. Okay, quick
I
question
have
here.
the best chance of being wrong on the ones that we got. But whatever.
I actually hope some of those work out though. Like,
Yeah.
I think the Steelers and the Bills is a toss up, and I hope the Pack can beat the Cowboys, but
Me too.
it's going to be hard for them. So, final question. There's two bye teams, obviously the Ravens, Baltimore, and San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your pick to win the Super Bowl? I have said it at the beginning of the year,
You did.
Yeah.
and I'm going to keep going with it. The 49ers.
The 49ers have the best all-around team. You could put any quarterback in Purdy's shoes.
Yeah,
and having
Purdy's
all that-
I think
all that-
Purdy's kind
all-
of proven himself though.
He's
Except
good.
for the last game.
He's got he's got the best running back of a generation. He's got two of
Yeah.
the best wide receivers. He's got George Kittle. He's got a great offensive line.
Good defense.
Baltimore just finds a way to win, and they do it.
Mm.
They just beat the shit out of you, and
They are the
they beat the shit out of the 49ers.
favorite.
Like they killed the 49ers. They showed them who was boss.
Do you think
Mhm.
a game replays the same way if they meet back up, or is it a different game?
Well, I think it's not going to be a blowout. It'll be a much more competitive game.
Yeah.
I still think the Ravens beat them. Ravens are going to get Mark Andrews back, their trusty tight end. And
Yeah, it's hard to go against the Ravens for how well
But
they've been playing.
Lamar's track record is he doesn't play well in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So what
I got
what
the
do-
Niners, man. That's my pick. Super Bowl champs. February 11th,
Hey.
the Niners. Boom.
I'm gonna deviate and I'm gonna say Cleveland.
Oh god.
Wow.
Okay. A hope and a prayer.
Hey.
That would be nice though if a team that's never won it before has
Right.
or even made it would win it. I Cleveland would be a good
like,
story.
Cleveland can beat any of those teams.
Yeah, but are
Like they
going
won
to?
one less game than the 49ers. And their schedule arguably was harder than the 49ers.
Yeah.
Right? Like so I think when you get this time of year, any of the 14, well, not any of the 14 teams, like we know the Bucks, the Steelers, and probably the Packers aren't going to do it. But you know,
The Bucks all the way. Let's go. No, just kidding.
don't bet your house. Do not bet your house.
Do not.
Do not. Whatever you do. No, I'm going to go with Cleveland. I think Cleveland is going to get there in the AFC, and I think San Fran's path is through their stadium. It's you got to go beat them at their house. I don't think any of those NFC teams can. Dallas maybe, but I don't think they're going to get there.
Yeah, I don't think Dallas is that good. They're on record they are, but
Yeah.
I mean they're 12-5, but still.
Yeah.
Matt, do you have a prediction for the Super Bowl champs here?
That I will absolutely 100% totally and completely maybe watch it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
Good
no,
talk, sir.
I got nothing on this. I don't know enough. Clearly I was supporting Jacksonville just out of loyalty to Tony Khan, AEW.
They
And that
were
did
there
not work
until
out
week
well for me.
18. They
Yeah.
needed to win the last game, and they fell
Oh,
short.
they were bad the
Uh,
last half of the season too. It's not just the last game. They were bad for multiple games in a row. But
Yeah.
that's okay.
But you know what? Just to throw a guess out there,
why not?
as far as the Super Bowl goes, I'm gonna go with the Bucks just because the Cinderella story. Part of me wants to see the Bills win it just for a
Yeah,
little bit of
you like-
redemption, but without
you
Jake
like their
Elliott, it really
logo.
doesn't matter.
I like their old logo when they had the creamsicle jerseys with the
Oh,
with
God.
the those are cool. But yeah, but the jersey behind me is reminiscent to a Browns jersey, so whatever. It's
Yes.
the same without
There
the
you
stripes.
go.
there.
We just cover them stripes up. You're fine.
Cover
It's
them
going to
stripes
be an
up.
interesting 3 days of football.
I think
mean,
so.
it all
And I
starts
kind of
in
like the
2.5
fact they've
hours.
moved the Buffalo game to Monday, so there's 2 each day as opposed to 2, 3, and 1. I
Yeah,
think
that
that's
makes it easier.
I think it's a better format.
Are they
Even
still
though I can't watch the Monday afternoon game, but that's okay. It's
they're not moving the games though, right? I
No.
don't know.
it's still in Buffalo.
No, I mean the times on Sunday.
No, I don't
There's
think
still
so.
going to be 1:30 and 5:15
Yeah.
because
you're
the
just not
Steelers were
gonna
at
see
10 a.m.
the-
right? So
Yeah,
10
so
a.m.
they just
game.
moved that Steelers game.
to the next day. Okay.
Yeah,
exciting.
Josh said here in the comment, or yeah, they should have played tomorrow. There's been millions of games played in the snow, the freezing tundra in Green Bay for years and years, right? Football is some of the greatest games ever were played in frigid temperatures and snow and all that. But this is since COVID, the world's a little bit different now. And that's a whole conversation for another day. We don't need to get into
it
that.
is. I mean, we accidentally got into that when I was talking about a cold last week, so we're not gonna
yeah. And we've
go
gone
down
kind
that
of
road.
long. We've gone long today too.
And for the record, because I did get some heat, face to face this week over that one. I wasn't mandating putting masks back on. It was just if we know we're sick and coughing over everybody, should it just be a question?
It's a courteous thing to do.
I don't want to. I don't want to give you the fucking cold.
It's funny you say this. So I had a cold this week. I did not wear a mask anywhere I went. I still went to the gym. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm just going doing my thing. If I cough, I'm just gonna do it into my shirt and whatever. But anyways, that's a different conversation. So
yeah. So my buddy Josh St. Hilaire here of the famed Jericho Cruise, and he's got his own podcast, is saying they should have played today. He meant tomorrow, and wants to know exactly what I did now.
Matt does the same thing that Matt always does and says something inappropriate and opens his mouth.
I open my mouth and let things come out. I mean, what can you do? Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's cringy, and that just got a little bit into
Mike and I are in the background
doing
doing this, like
I'm just gonna move over here now.
And Josh is gonna get a full dose of what happens when I add booze to my mouth in a couple weeks. So thanks, boys. It was good. I'm gonna get these predictions up there on our Facebook page so that we can have this memory of who said what next week to see exactly how this turned out. Join us next week. We will be doing a show next Saturday morning. And then we might be taking the 27th off because I will be in the middle of the ocean when we're supposed to record that. But we'll see how it turns out. I'm not opposed to recording one between now and then. I'm also not opposed to taking a week off because
he's on his annual Jericho Cruise, which
absolutely
he waits the whole year for. So
absolutely, really looking forward to it. Some pretty cool shit going down this year. I will have photos and commentary about that. I can't promise no topless karaoke, but it could be a thing.
Well, I just don't want to see pictures of you topless.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Thank you for participating. Remember to jump in the comments. If you see us live, we'll get you up here. Join the conversation with us. We will see you next Saturday as we'll do a recap on our football picks, see how this is going along, and then run our mouths about some other stuff and see how I can embarrass myself next week.
Absolutely.
See you later.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Good afternoon.